Welcome to today's brand origin deep dive, where we pull back the curtain on the unassuming beginnings of global giants. You've heard of the product. It organizes the world's information. But do you know how a cramped student dorm room, the smell of stale coffee, and a seemingly impossible mathematical puzzle became the unlikely crucible for an idea that would reshape society? If you find value in this kind of storytelling, consider liking the video and subscribing. It helps more than you know. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from or what your first memory of using this brand was. Let's dive in and discover how it all began. You stand outside the door, the faded number barely visible. This is where it began. Not in glass towers, but in the cramped, airless space of a student dorm room, filled with the persistent hum of cheap electronics and the scent of stale coffee. You push the door open, dust motes dancing in the single shaft of light from a grimy window. On the floor, stacks of books lean precariously, overflowing with dog-eared pages on advanced mathematics and computer science. Wires snake across worn carpet, connecting machines that look ancient now, artifacts of a different age, constantly buzzing and generating heat. There's a whiteboard covered in equations, some erased, some still starkly visible, hinting at a problem so vast it seemed insurmountable: how to find anything useful in the burgeoning, chaotic mess of the early internet. This isn't just a room. It's a crucible, holding the echoes of late-night arguments fueled by cheap pizza, sudden epiphanies scribbled in frantic handwriting, and the quiet anxiety of trying to make something from nothing. The foundational algorithm concept, the idea of ranking pages based on connections, later known as PageRank, wasn't born as a triumphant breakthrough, but as a desperate, almost impossible mathematical puzzle they wrestled with nightly. Brand historians still debate whether the true spark was the mathematical elegance of the idea or the sheer youthful stubbornness to make it work. Adding to the atmosphere, one of their early server rigs was notoriously unstable, requiring constant reboots and filling the room with a unique, slightly burnt electronic smell that became the backdrop to countless hours of coding. You breathe in the charged air, feeling the weight of an idea that would reshape the world, born in this unlikely, humble space, marked by the daunting realization of the problem's true scale. The persistent, low hum of those early machines wasn't just noise. It was a physical manifestation of the nascent intelligence struggling to life, foreshadowing the immense, perhaps uncontrollable power this algorithm could eventually wield. Welcome to today's brand origin deep dive, where we peel back the layers on companies you thought you knew. You interact with collaborative documents, creative software, or digital communities almost constantly. But do you know how a dusty corner in a forgotten garage and a particularly persistent software bug fundamentally shaped the digital world as you know it? We're talking about the surprising beginnings of Nexus, a name synonymous with connection today, born from a world that barely understood digital spaces. If you find value in this kind of storytelling, consider liking the video and subscribing. It helps more than you know. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from or what your favorite Nexus feature is today. Let's dive in and discover how it all began. Building on what came before, you leave idealism and enter the gritty reality of Act 2. The scene shifts from a dorm room to a cramped garage or cheap rented unit, the crucible where Nexus takes form. The air is thick with solder, bad coffee, flickering monitors cast unreliable glow. Early technical struggles hit hard, prototypes discarded, coding dead ends. You're battling the very idea of software itself. The early Nexus software is less product, more temperamental entity, a ghost in the machine. Glitchy, unstable, seemingly acting on its own. This unstable core, while maddening, is the heart of the brand's early identity. Desperate searches for funding drain resources. Existing competitors loom, seeing the internet differently. Their size a constant threat. You must build something new, convince a skeptical world, and fear being outpaced. Hopeful idealism yields to paranoia, frustration, doubt. Every bug feels like failure. Every rejection validates fear. The steady hum replaced by the blinking, unreliable cursor, a searchlight easily lost. A major turning point. During debugging, a workaround for a core limitation is discovered, accidentally enabling the platform's first real-time collaborative feature. A quirky detail? The first internal build was the gremlin because it crashed whenever stable was mentioned. Brand historians still debate if constraints forced creativity or just delayed things. It's also here the first compromises creep in. Small design choices for speed, foreshadowing long-term consequences. And so, you've journeyed through the initial spark, the arduous build, the moments of triumph, and the inevitable challenges that forged Nexus into the brand it is today. As we reach the end of this deep dive, take a moment to reflect on the path traveled. A journey from a cramped corner to a global phenomenon. The story of Nexus is far more than just lines of code or business plans. It's a powerful testament to human perseverance in the face of crushing doubt, a stark reminder of how unintended consequences can ripple from early decisions, and proof that groundbreaking innovation can bloom in the most unexpected, gritty environments. The early struggles, the ghost in the machine software, the desperate search for funding, these weren't just obstacles. They were defining moments. From that glitchy beginning in a garage, Nexus grew into a force that fundamentally reshaped how people connect, create, and collaborate online. Its legacy isn't just in its features, but in the way it normalized and empowered digital interaction for millions. It stands as a cultural symbol of the messy, imperfect reality of creation, showing that truly transformative ideas are often born in chaos, forged under immense pressure, and always carry the unique scars of their beginnings. The lessons learned from this journey are universal. They're about seeing potential where others see problems, adapting when your clearest vision is disrupted, and understanding that sometimes the most frustrating limitations force the most creative and enduring breakthroughs. It's a story about technology, yes, but fundamentally, it's a story about people navigating the unknown. And maybe, just maybe, the soul of a brand is never in its product, but in the people, stories, and stumbles that shape it. Building on the foundational concepts and initial successes, the brand faces its next crucial challenge, defining what it looks like. This is Act 3, the spectrum of identity, where you trace the painstaking steps towards the very first visual representation. You stand amidst the creative chaos, surrounded by walls plastered with rejected mock-ups, a visual noise of design concepts that didn't make the cut. You can almost smell the sterile scent of whiteboard markers, used in countless brainstorming sessions, feeling the quiet tension of design review meetings where technical minds clashed with creative visionaries. The major historical milestone here isn't a product launch, but the birth of an icon, the brand's first logo and signature color scheme. This wasn't a smooth process. It involved passionate internal debates, abandoned design concepts that now feel like digital fossils, and potentially overlooked designers or interns whose subtle suggestions shape the outcome. The core brand element emerges: the logo itself, its specific colors, layout, and the often debated choices, like the precise shade of yellow that went into it. Brand historians still debate whether the chosen sequence of colors held a deeper, almost symbolic thread of meaning lost to time. The emotional shift is palpable. The entity moves from a purely technical backstage operation to stepping into the light, needing a public face, a visual identity to command clarity and recognition in a crowded digital landscape. You encounter an echo of this struggle, perhaps a scanned image of a discarded design file or a memo detailing a heated debate over that specific yellow hue. This simple, playful identity begins to form, foreshadowing the tension it will hold against the complex, powerful entity it represents. Building on that incredible momentum, the brand takes its first bold steps beyond the central pillar of search. You witness the rapid proliferation, like branches exploding from a strong trunk. This is Act 4, the tangled branches. The major historical milestone here is the ambitious push into entirely new territories. Email with a seemingly endless inbox, intuitive map data visualizing the world, document tools, and video platforms. Suddenly, the unified hum of search begins to splinter into a chaotic chorus of notification alerts and distinct project teams. This expansion, while impressive, puts immense strain on the core identity. Is it still just about organizing information? Internal teams, sometimes called product silos, begin to develop their own orbits, sometimes working at cross purposes. You feel the palpable energy of ambition, often clashing with the messy reality of execution, leading to ventures launched with great fanfare, only to be quietly abandoned later. Remember projects like Wave? A quirky, almost sci-fi attempt to reinvent communication that felt ahead of its time, but failed to land. Analysts still debate whether this rapid diversification was a necessary evolution or a reckless gamble that diluted focus. The sensory landscape shifts too. The abstract map data taking shape on screens, the increasingly clinical feel of new office spaces filled with teams chasing different dreams. The symbolic thread becomes the ever-growing collection of product icons, some vibrant with success, others grayed out, representing the expanding, sometimes disconnected empire. You sense a loss of that initial, singular focus, foreshadowing the difficulty of managing such a vast, complex organism. Building on the incredible scale explored in the previous phase, you now witness the brand grappling with the sheer weight of its own success. The vast oceans of information it learned to organize weren't just passive archives anymore. They became vibrant, living streams, revealing intimate details about the people using them. This shift marks a major turning point. The brand moves from simply pointing you to information to actively collecting and utilizing your personal data. This pivot brings with it the first serious pangs of conscience. You feel the emotional intensity building, a sense of guilt creeping in for some, defensiveness for others, and palpable internal conflict. Think of hushed tones in meeting rooms, discussing potential regulations, or the chilling, abstract visual of user data flowing endlessly into cold, anonymous server farms. There's a specific, lesser-known period where engineers reportedly wrestled with the implications of predictive algorithms, sometimes referring to sensitive data types internally as digital breadcrumbs, a term later banned for being too revealing. This era sees the brand's stated ideals, like "don't be evil," tested against the undeniable business realities powered by data. Analysts continue to question the reasoning behind certain data collection practices, debating whether they were truly necessary for service improvement or simply opportunities for monetization. The emotional shift is a profound loss of innocence, confronting the unintended consequences of immense power. The once helpful, invisible search cursor begins to feel different, less like a tool, more like an unseen eye, constantly watching, constantly recording, setting the stage for enduring questions about control and autonomy that will resonate for years to come. You stand in the sterile, vast lobby of a modern campus building, far removed from the cramped dorm room that sparked it all in Act 1. The colors from Act 3 are still here, but they feel different now. A muted memory of past playfulness, contained and systematized behind polished glass. The hum isn't the simple drone of servers anymore. It's a low, pervasive thrumming of immense power hidden beneath these surfaces. The cursor from Act 5, once a simple pointer, is everywhere, embedded in every device you touch, every screen you glance at, every interaction you have online. The branches from Act 4, the ambitious diversifications, have grown into a dense, almost impenetrable forest, their roots weaving invisibly through global infrastructure. The simple dorm room origin feels impossibly distant now, a myth retold in glossy press releases, the original impulse a ghost in the machine. What remains of that initial spark? The desire to organize the world's information now feels inextricably entangled with the imperative to monetize it. To predict human behavior, perhaps even to subtly shape it. Analysts continue to question the ultimate goal behind this vast data collection. Is it pure utility or something closer to control? The struggle isn't over. It's just moved deeper inside, becoming less about optimizing code and more about managing influence, less about pure discovery and more about directed prediction. The sheer scale of this transition, arguably the biggest turning point since going public, solidified its place not just as a company, but as an unseen empire. Consider the vast, hidden network of data centers, sprawling like digital continents, a quirky detail that underscores the brand's physical omnipresence beneath its virtual facade. You see the clean white search page load, a perfect void reflecting everything and nothing. Is this the culmination of the original dream, or something else entirely? The story isn't finished. It's a constantly refreshing page, hiding layers of history, struggle, and compromise beneath a facade of effortless simplicity. The ghosts of discarded ideas, ethical battles, and forgotten creators linger in the code, in the data, in the silence between the keystrokes. And as the cursor blinks, waiting for your command, you have to wonder, who is watching whom now? What part of the original spirit is still humming in the machine? What secrets are yet to be organized, or perhaps left deliberately undiscovered? And so, our deep dive into this brand's origin concludes. Though its story is far from over, we've journeyed from a humble dorm room with a noisy server to the sterile halls of a global empire, tracing the transformation of an idea into an omnipresent force. The key takeaway? The power of a simple impulse to organize, to connect, can, when scaled exponentially, reshape the very fabric of our digital lives and beyond. The brand's legacy isn't just in its products, but in the questions it forces us to ask about information, power, and the future of human interaction. The clean white search page, its ultimate symbol, serves as a powerful metaphor, a surface of infinite potential that also functions as a mask for the complex history, the invisible operations, and the profound influence operating beneath. It's a lesson in the unpredictable consequences of innovation and the constant negotiation between idealism and reality. This journey reminds us that every brand, no matter how large or abstract it becomes, began with people, ideas, and a series of often messy, uncertain steps. Their stumbles, their triumphs, their forgotten details, like that surprisingly physical hum from Act 1 or the dense digital branches of Act 4, tell a story far richer than any corporate mission statement. It's a narrative embedded in the code, in the culture it created, and in the impact it has on billions of lives daily. And maybe, just maybe, the soul of a brand is never solely in its polished product, but in the people, stories, and stumbles that continue to shape it long after the initial hum fades.